My white tarp shed works really well for drying out wood. However, it doesn't do a good job of killing the bugs, and I'm thinking a vacuum chamber might do both. I found this 3-inch piece of white oak or I believe it's white oak, at the town dump. They were burning a bunch of trees, and thankfully this one got spared. I think that'd make really nice little coasters. And it might be able to fit into my vacuum chamber, my long one. Oh, it's hot in here. But I imagine when I cut it open, it'll have a, oh, that's not gonna fit. You know what, we can go ahead and cut it in half, then it'll fit, and we can measure the moisture inside. That does not smell like oak. It smells rotten. That's odd. Oh yeah, that's still pretty wet. Max. Yep. Huh. Isn't that weird? It's nice and dark there. Mayhap that just needs to dry out. Well, I couldn't find my scale anywhere. I had a neat little one that I got at a yard sale a few years back, but I must have filed it away somewhere. So all I have is this luggage scale, whatever it's called. And it only does pounds. Oh well. I'm not too knowledgeable on how much a pound is though. 6.5. Might be room for this in there as well. Oh, nope. Oh well. There we go. This used to be an old oil filter container for some industrial machine. I think it did like peanut oil or something. And this top has a hard time seating on unless there's a vacuum pulled. Now there seems to be a lot of confusion about how to use these pumps to suck water out of things. And you're going to cloud up the oil, and eventually some mist is going to start coming out of the cap here. Don't do it too long. If it starts to really start tapping, then what you need to do is you need to let this sit for a few days, and then the oil and the water will separate and it'll be less cloudy, and then you can just open up this screw and bleed the water out, and then you can use it again. You don't really have to replace the oil. You just let it sit and the water and the oil will separate, and it works fine. Just don't use it too long, because of course the water does fill up, and once it starts getting into the mechanism it can cause wear and tear. But yeah, it's definitely sucking out a lot of water, because you can see it going frothy at the top, and that'll go work its way down. But we'll have at least like an hour or so to suck moisture with this. It's starting to tap quite a bit, so... Oh, I just had an idea. You know what? I could have multiple batches of oil. So once it starts doing that, I take the oil out and put new oil in, and then while that other oil is separating so I can take the water out, I can continue running it. Oh well, let's let it sit for a little bit, but I realized evidently red oak can sometimes have a smell to it. This is all very yellowish green when we first cut it. So this might be red oak, but yeah, it just has a really weird, it smells like an olive almost, like a green olive. Yeah, it smells like a green olive, kind of vinegary, I guess. And I guess that makes sense. I've never actually had red oak before, so, or at least I never had red oak that I knew was red oak, so I guess, you know, in comparison, that other oak that I got from that one guy that cut down a bunch of trees, I guess that is all white oak because it smells like nothing when I cut it, or it smells kind of woody. But it's been a half hour and it only started tapping just a few seconds ago. So it was funny, I just started doing that. It smells kind of funky, but not too bad. Oh, this is cold. Yeah, this is really cold. Nope. Still 6.0 pounds. That's not very accurate. Oh well. Oh, strange. Look at that. I heard a few pops and crackles in there. I wonder what that's about. Maybe pulling some of the sap out. Well, that's fascinating. I imagine a lot of bugs will get killed this way. If not every bug, hopefully. Alright, and now it's down to 41%, whereas before it was over the maximum, so that definitely did help. This might be a bit of a lot of water to pull out though. So this is too hot to touch now. I think the thing I should do next is, well, of course I should separate the water from the oil, which is not too bad. It's starting to separate out already. But I should find myself a nice, like a server fan, and having a nice airflow just to keep this from overheating, because that's a real issue. It's the next day. It looks like the oil is pretty much separated out. The water, at least. But I haven't inspected this oil in a long time, so it'll be good to open it up. That's a good amount of water. That's a nasty brew. You can see that water down there. I got all the water out and a little bit of oil. So this should be good for a little while longer, hopefully. It's funny what just a little bit of water will do to a machine, but it can really wreck it. This oil might have a few more uses before I need to replace it. But I'm still amazed that this $75 vacuum pump has been able to pump so much water over the years, and I've been able to take so many loads of oil out of it. Well, so many loads of water, I mean. Alright, upgrade number 2. Should fix the overheating problem. This one's a bit weak. This one's pretty strong, so that'll be good. And if not, I just realized my big fan has a much higher setting than I knew about, to where it really turns this entire place into a wind tunnel. So I can leave that one running too. But with enough airflow, this should stay cool. And now the last thing is to provide heat to these, and we'll effectively turn this into a kiln. Now I happen to have a bunch of this heating element wire, and it's designed to heat up batteries from like Arctic temperatures up to higher temperatures. So all I need is a few degrees more, like get this up to 40 degrees Celsius, 50 degrees Celsius, and the pump will be able to pull out a lot of moisture. Now the only thing I need to do is make an entrance for the wires to go in. And I'm thinking that I can put this pipe here and then glue some wires going in, and I can connect the wires to those, and that should be good. You know, 6 watts of power per coil is more than nothing. But I think I'll still double it up just so we get 12 watts of heat, and that should be good. Well, today's heating up quite a bit. Hopefully the ambient temperature will help heat this up too, but we've had that heating up in there for a while. That's pulling 1 amp at 14 volts, so that's now up to 14 watts. And this seems to be holding just fine. We have half of an amp going towards these, which should help keep this from overheating. Well, clicking a little bit. It might just be the log off gassing, but this might be a bit leaky. I don't know. All right. It's been half an hour. And it's starting to tap a little bit. The oil's not looking too bad. But I might want to do a teardown of this and just see if there's any modifications I can do to make it do this much better. a little toasty, but not too much. I kind of wish this thing would be hotter. Oh yeah, the core is still cool, so this probably won't work too well. It might be better to just, oh yeah, it's actually cold now once I'm touching the core of it. It might be best to just like put this in a microwave or on the oven or something, and when it's all nice and steamy, throw it in there and then spend about 20 minutes to take it out. And so I pretty much only dried off the bark because the heat just wasn't permeating inside of it fast enough. But judging by how cold this is, we did take away some moisture. It might be a good idea for me to microwave this or put this on top of the wood stove or something and then put it in there and pull a vacuum. That might actually be able to pull out more. %. Oh, it's really going down a lot. Well, that's a new one. I've not seen this stuff to mold up so easily. But just leave this for here in a little while and it's already going really bad. Like it's some leftover food. Oh, I bet it's already on my workbench too. Yep. Oh, that's bad. Well, I wonder if this had some similar effect to whenever I put an electric arc into a pumpkin for a jack-o'-lantern and then it immediately molded up. So I wonder if the vacuum treatment somehow hurts the cell, what's left of the cells, and they're more susceptible to molding. So it's actually been a few days and I've just kind of let it sit here. I've not had this kind of issue, especially with wet lumber before, so it just strikes me as very odd. So in conclusion, I think that my experiment lacked quickness, meaning it should have been either hotter or better vacuum pump. But I had to call it short whenever my vacuum pump was overheating. Overheating due to my own standards. I mean, it was still running, but I just didn't want it to go any hotter. This hydrogen peroxide should do a good job of stopping this though. Oh, and just as a comparison, these white oak boards have been outside for a while and they do have some like blotchy stuff growing on them, but it's nothing crazy like that green stuff. That was like really bad. So I've noticed that if I don't put these on here, then I get splits going like all the way through. The logs over there have splits that much, but this, it's not as bad. So I'm thinking a solution where you have something on the top and the bottom could actually help quite a bit. Not that I care, I mean, this is all just to experiment with, but it's a good learning experience for the future whenever I do want to have logs that don't have any splits. Alright, so in conclusion, next time I should, oh, you can really see it there. I guess that is oak or something. So in conclusion, I think what we should do is we should heat up the wood more, and that way the vacuum can actually pull more moisture out. And also microwaving might be a good option for that. My friend, I think his name is Brian, I'm terrible with names, from the channel Housework, really great channel, you should check him out. Oh, the shutter is not open, there we go. This whole camera, everything's getting stuck on it. My friend Brian from the channel Housework, he recommended using a microwave, and it seems like it's a good idea. But all my microwaves, I've either pillaged parts off of them or they're broken in some way. So I'll keep an eye out for a good microwave that I can use. And we can see about microwaving them. Closer to winter, if I still have this issue, I can take these and put them on my wood stove. I thought about turning on my wood stove, but in this weather, in this heat, That's insane. I'm not doing that even for a YouTube video, even if it makes 1 million views. Fuck that. But the real solution probably would just be to be more patient, because I've only had about 4 months to collect wood, and so far the oak that I have out there is already drying out a nice little bit. And so really what I need to do is I just need to clean out this white tarp shed, my other shed, and then I can start storing more wood to dry without them getting rained on, which would be the best option, because it actually is extremely warm in here, and that should help speed things up if it's always over 100 degrees and whatnot, or like, well, 42 Celsius, whatever that is. And some of this wood, if this is a good method to get rid of bugs, then that would be good, because I can at least use that method to remove bugs, so then I can put them into my big tarp shed, which is my actual lumber shed. The only reason I'm not putting all these logs in there is because that shed is for actual lumber that's already been processed, does not have pests in it. But this is, of course, just regular old logs that are just found out in the wild. And as I found out with my white oak, it comes with a lot of extra passengers. So, oh, I think we should call it there. But yeah, that was a bigger undertaking than I thought. I was hoping that my vacuum pump could remove a lot of the moisture, but it's obvious there's a lot more water in there than I expected, and whereas my vacuum pump might work for something like a cell phone that got wet, it doesn't quite work for this. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you very much for watching. See ya!